You're watching Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. This the episode is going to be a treat because we have the Merdeka Award Trustees joining us. This is because every year we celebrate the wonderful Malaysians out here. And of course, we reward them with some form of recognition. In this sense, we have the Merdeka Award. So joining us for this interview is Tengku Muhammad Taufik, the PETRONAS President and Group CEO, Ivan Tan, Chairman of Shell Malaysia, as well as Shane Harris, President of ExxonMobil Exploration and Production Malaysia, or ENP. Guys, thank you very much for joining us in this very interesting talk. I just want to touch base on the Merdeka Awards itself. Maybe, Taufik, we can start with you. We are talking about the celebration of Malaysians, people that might work with tremendous grit and hard work and sheer pressure to make our lives better. How can this award recognize such work and such a contribution to the society?
Thank you for having me on, Ibrahim. It's good to see Ivan and Shane as well on the same screen. We are still living in a situation where we're facing screens most of the time. Great question. The Malaysia Award to us stands for excellence and the culture of pursuing excellence. And in its very embodiment, we see the award recipients and those who are pursuing the grant as people who pursue excellence, and they are compassionate individuals. They are enthusiastic about pursuing something better. In many cases, we premise the awards around the delivery, use, and application of knowledge, because knowledge as a subject matter or knowledge as a font of intelligence can only really be meaningful when it really makes an impact to society. And we believe that the Merdeka Award stands as a good symbol for encouraging that and recognizing that.
Okay, Shane, maybe you can help describe to us what's different about this year versus previous years. How what would be some of the selection process that needs to be gone through to select this year's awardees?
The processes afforded to this process have had to change, given that we're in the pandemic. Obviously, we'd spent a lot of time prior to this, as we're trending towards a more kind of digitalized space, and we were able to leverage that to a larger degree through the pandemic. So our processes have transitioned from being more manual based to more digitally inclusive, which has enabled us to have broader impact, broader spread and reach, while also being agile enough to be able to find ways to access folks who may not have had internet access and the likes, to be able to bring them in. So it's been a different process, that's for sure, but it's been a rewarding process, and I think there's a lot of learnings that we can take from here and apply as we move forward into future years.
So Ivan, collaborating with some of your peers to make this work is rewarding. You are competitors after all of you, but at the same time, we're all contributing towards a better country. How do you see the Merdeka Award Trustees contribute to bring about the best out of Malaysians collectively through the different platforms that you guys have?
Thanks, Ibrahim, and thanks for the opportunity to join the forum today. I mean, we were extremely happy, and we were really excited when PETRONAS actually approached us in the early days. I think it must have been 2006, 2007 when they approached us to actually set this up. And I think for something initiative of this nature, where you're trying to drive excellence, where you're really really connecting to your roots and really striving to be better and driving that improvement day in, day out, I think we're very aligned there. PETRONAS has got a real nation-building agenda, and for ourselves as Shell and in Exxon's case as well, we are partners in powering the progress of Malaysia together, right? And I think this Merdeka Award really embodies that unity of companies coming together to make that difference. And the Merdeka Awards started within the oil and gas industry because we felt that we were one of the sort of, if you like, one of the older industries in the country that sort of built the country up, and as part of giving back to our communities. That's how we saw that, Ibrahim.
The thing about Merdeka Awards is that the culture of excellence has to be imbued inside the individual, inside the communities that they work in. How is the Merdeka Award a symbol of that? Any one of you?
Well, if I may, gentlemen, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. But the Merdeka Award stands for, as I think repeatedly emphasized by my colleagues here, it was started with the sole intention of promoting the pursuit of excellence. And how we do that is through thought leadership, through innovation, and in doing so, the Malaysians or the non-Malaysians who were the recipients were recognized for the ability to formulate a worldview in delivering new outcomes, differing outcomes. More so than ever in these difficult times, something like the Merdeka Award should stand for the ability to succeed even in the face of the most daunting challenges, under the most difficult circumstances presented by this new normal. So I think insofar as what the Merdeka Award should encourage is the creation of an eventual environment. I hope the effect of the Merdeka Award being a part of the infrastructure that promotes excellence, empowers and motivates Malaysians across every divide to reach their full potential, not settle for just the same, thinking differently. I think from every aspect, what Shane described earlier, even from the process of application, from what achievements you demonstrate and what you deliver and what it means to society, we hope that the Merdeka Award continues to set the bar higher and higher every year.
What we're looking for is, of course, the outcome and not just the activity of doing this. What would be some of the outcomes that you guys have seen from those that have been the recipient of the Merdeka Award or the Merdeka Award grant for international attachment? Basically, these kind of items that they've received, how have they impacted the community? Can we measure it? Do you feel that there's calculable good items that have come out from them receiving this award?
Yeah, so if I may come in here, I mean, some examples, and maybe let me share one example where last year we actually gave out the Merdeka Award to a group of individuals within the Majlis Cancer Nasional, MACNA, where, they actually work to really provide financial, emotional, social support to nearly 60,000 cancer patients, right? And really the recognition, we were recognizing their contribution or their outstanding contribution really to providing that financial medical support, while advocating for cancer research for more than 2 decades that MACNA has been set up. So that's one example of the recognition that the Merdeka Award has actually personified. I think one thing, if I may add to the earlier part, we've also got the Merdeka Award grant that is for international attachment. And that forms the two, if you like, components of the Merdeka Award. And we try to do it on an alternate year basis, where the Merdeka Award grant tends to focus on, encouraging younger Malaysians to be the next generation leaders in their respective fields, where we give them a bit of international exposure there.
There's also that thing where the number of grantees increased from 5 from just 3 prior to 2019. Has there been an influx of recipients or deserving participants resulting in the Merdeka Award trustees having to increase the amount of grantees over the years?
Yeah, I think that's certainly the case. Yeah, it's afforded us an opportunity to look a little bit more broader and really focus in on kind of 5 core categories that that are the focus of this award around health, science and technology, education, community, and of course the environment. So being able to focus around those kind of 5 dimensions and be able to broaden the scope and therefore the ability to award within those scopes, I think has been a huge enabler to more engagement and involvement in the program and of course the award.
Of course, we want to ask you a little bit more about how COVID has changed the way you guys seek for grant recipients, how you guys work collectively, but we'll go for a break before we talk about all that shortly. Let's go for one short break. When we come back, we'll discuss with the Merdeka Awards trustee on Notepad. Welcome back. This is Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. Joining us for this episode is Tengku Muhammad Taufik, PETRONAS President and Group CEO, Ivan Tan, Chairman of Shell Malaysia, as well as Shane Harris, President of ExxonMobil. Let's talk a little bit more about how COVID-19 has impacted the lives of Malaysians and, of course, how Merdeka Awards is moving ahead in a post-pandemic world. Do you feel that the way you select recipients are going to be different this year or in future years? Do you feel that some areas are going to be a little bit more important? Shane, you were talking about the different categories. Of course, healthcare is going to be a clinical item to dissect because it's not just the healthcare, it's the public health delivery system, it's the technology that drives these kind of solutions for the community. What do you feel when it comes to trying to give a little bit more emphasis on how we build a better Malaysia in a post-pandemic world? Any of you want to take this up?
Well, Shane has described the challenges we had in disbursing the awards, recognizing the deserving recipients across the 5 themes that we want to address currently through the Merdeka Award is already a challenge through the pandemic. But post-pandemic, as you've rightly pointed out there, Ibrahim, I think the intent and purpose is to ensure that the awards do have a clear path to returning to society. And when we follow this theme in doing our selection for grants, there is going to be further refinement and, of course, filtering to ensure that the award recipients do have a tether to the needs that are going to arise through the post-pandemic. And in doing so, we are also considering very carefully the kind of partnerships with the academic institutions that they plan to work with, the ones they select thematically, the ones they select from a knowledge base. As you've pointed out, society is facing challenges on numerous levels. Not only does the medical needs arise, but the need for fabric of society to repair itself after this, beyond just the immediate health emergency that we've just endured, there is going to be a need for recovery on many fronts. The economy, the assurance that there's going to be an equitable recovery post-pandemic, and all the aspects that the 5 themes present need to be tied in far more directly, and that's the thinking and the inclination going forward.
Yeah, let's talk about how that can be tied in better. How do you feel the items, the 5 categories, needs to be tied in more tightly with the community? What would be some of the markers that we can look for, particularly for people that are watching this? They might want to think about, building better solutions for the communities. Do you feel that there is a pathway, a blueprint, so to speak, that can actually impact the lives of the people that they want to help?
I can take a stab at this, and you guys can add more color. I don't want to be seeing like I'm crowding the answer space here. Honestly,
that's okay. We use PETRONAS muscling their way in, at least here in this part of the world. So yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's talk about the tool that we often refer to within this industry, within oil and gas. But it is going to be something that's going to be replicated elsewhere. Digitization, the very fact that we chatted before coming on air around how work arrangements differ, access, building team dynamics, all leveraging on digitalization, how much digitalization will be a factor in our lives going forward, the improved use of analytics when we build back society. Are we going to be a little bit more intelligent and targeted in making sure benefits are distributed more equitably? So over and above that, I think there are clear things that are, of course, the impetus of industries like ours. We've seen some grant recipients looking at alternative energy storage solutions. What's presented to date seems to be a decarbonized pathway, but going forward, there's also going to be the need to anticipate the ecosystem around a sustainable energy solution. There are a number of grant recipients who are going down that path. Obviously, with education delivery, making sure syllabuses everywhere that can deliver a workforce fit for the future. That's also going to be a necessary attribute and things that we look for in grant applicants going forward. But over and above that, of course, the Merdeka Award per se recognizes those who have made outstanding contributions or helped set up the platforms for the pursuit of such outcomes. Sorry, gents, back to you.
No, if I may add to a few of those points, I think fantastic. And, with the actual grant themselves or the international attachment, there are going to be short stints at an international institution that we will try to match up. And that's a fantastic, as you can imagine, broadening and exposure to understand new ideas, new approaches to tackle those issues. And you can imagine that, as Tengku Taufik has really, narrated earlier, there are so many areas that we can benefit from, having gone into a period over the last year and a half where I guess to some extent we've probably not been as effective as we could have been, right? And the area of energy transition, of course, sticks out for, oil and gas players like ourselves. And, we would love to get help around what we can do better for ourselves to become a more sustainable industry, given how important this industry is for Malaysia. I think mental resilience, given that, a lot of our offshore workers have been subjected to a lot of strain with the movement controls, how do we help them, get through this sort of post-pandemic era and, become better individuals and teammates, right? I think those areas would be certainly areas that I would be looking out for to see how some of these award recipients would be able to help us.
Yeah, it's tough to follow up on my colleagues here. They've really hit the nail on the head. But I think, as I step back and I think about the tremendous progress and focus around innovation, around, prosperity economically and progressively, I think an important element of focus is also around harmony and compassion. And I think if there's a big takeaway from the last 18 months or so, as we've all gone through this pandemic and this very unique environment, it's just the importance of that harmony and that compassion. And so I think at the core of the Merdeka Awards is really, through our efforts, how do we complement those key dimensions and support Malaysia being a nation that's more kind of competitive and robust based around that harmony and compassion. So that's a key focus area.
I think Ivan mentioned it earlier before the break just now that the energy industry basically drove Malaysia's economy back, in the 80s, in the 90s. And of course, now the issue is still the same. Energy is, of course, going to be the forefront of our drive towards embracing technology. It's also important for us to talk about sustainability as the big topic of the day. IPCC report is a really scary one to read. I actually went through the first 30, 40 pages and I quit reading because it's a very dire document to go through. And of course, COP26 is just around the corner. There's a lot of things that needs to be talked about when it comes to sustainability. And how do you feel that your energy is going to reinvent yourselves? If I know you guys are going to say that you guys are strong on sustainability, but the branding is as such, right? People are still talking about oil and gas rather than energy company. That's the thing. So how do you help the market try to get on board the sustainability road that you guys are on right now?
On this one, how much time do you have, Ibrahim? No, honestly, this is energy transition used to be labeled as imminent, but you spelled it out correctly. It's here. The science is now very difficult to refute. The outcomes of ignoring the impact of human industrial activity is probably something this generation will be accused of being irresponsible and short of being arrogant and irresponsible of not acknowledging. So as an industry always under the magnifying glass of being one of the core emitters in this day and age, we need to recognize that any pathway, and there's not just one pathway to an effective energy transition, cannot be done by one industry alone. Government must also come in. The investing community must also understand the limitations and parameters. And remember, we're in the heart of ASEAN with about almost 700 million people. We're seen as one of the core engines of growth for the world, given we have resilient economies. But the pathway for them to recover post such a damaging pandemic is not an easy one. And you cannot expect there's going to be a cookie-cutter solution for every country. We have seen a combination, a cocktail of proposals around carbon pricing, the imposition of CCS. A colleague of mine who's on screen today has even had a court judgment fall against his company with regards to how much they can or cannot invest. So I'm telling you that the answer is so multifaceted that it will take a lot of time. But if there's one message I can leave at the end of this response is that it needs everyone to act in concert. There is no just one industry that can help address the sustainability challenge for any geography, for that matter, let alone Malaysia or ASEAN.
Shane and Ivan, you want to add on to that?
Yes, I can. And you know, I completely agree with Tengku there with the narrative. And you know, it really, for ourselves, we need to ensure that we are the most efficient and the best we can be in the oil and gas value chain in terms of our emissions. So that means that, you know, we look at making sure that we are energy efficient, we eliminate venting and ultimately flaring as well. We can make our equipment very reliable, so reducing our emissions to the best that we can. And in the meantime, also look at lower carbon solutions. And that means, you know, exploring alternative energy solutions that helps us to make a shift and a reliance completely on oil and gas to other sources of fuel. And we're doing that. All our companies are doing that already. We're looking at, you know, hydrogen opportunities. We are looking at, you know, wind and solar energy as the renewable set and so forth, right? And I think it's going to be the combination of these different energy sources at the end of the day that will be the power of tomorrow. And in the meantime, we've got to also be responsible to ensure that we continue to get the power of today, the energy that's supplied today, and we continue to be able to ensure that we all, you know, have a good quality of life in the meantime. So with all of these, it's never a single solution. It's going to be a collective, as Tengku rightly said, a collective, and it's going to be also a combination of different things in the solution mix too.
Shane, if I can just pivot a bit, the question, future developments of the country is going to be much in tandem with the requirements of the country and the needs of what is right now being pertinent, i.e. Climate solution, equitable solution for many. Do you feel that the future development of Malaysia is very much going to be reflected in how the Merdeka Awards is going to be shaped in the future? Do you think that the future development of the Merdeka Award is going to be very much in tune to the needs of the country as well as a world where it's realistic to work in a post-pandemic world?
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. You know, kind of reiterate some of my comments previously. This basis of Malaysia being resilient and an innovative nature, with, you know, strong kind of moral and ethical values, you know, is going to be critically important as we go forward, and how we connect that to Merdeka Awards, you know, such that it's not just prospering economically and progressively, but also how do we demonstrate that harmony and compassion that I talked about earlier, you know, and drive our culture forward. I think it's through these efforts that we hope to complement, you know, those dimensions and really support the nation going forward. So I think, you know, that's embodied in the Merdeka Awards. And that is going to be a large focus of the awards as we move forward.
Before we end, Ivan, maybe some message to the regular Malaysians when it comes to not just the Merdeka Award, but of course celebrating Merdeka itself.
Yeah, I mean, celebrating Merdeka, it's about unity, isn't it? It's about independence, about liberation, isn't it? And I think, you know, with the Merdeka Awards, that's what it's intended, to really ensure that, you know, we remember our roots, because, you know, that's where we've come from, and to make sure that we continue to strive better into the future, driving the concepts of unity and independence, and recognizing individuals who actually really embody that and really strive to be the best there.
Tengku Taufik, maybe some parting words as well.
Well, I'd ask that you look at the word Merdeka. It symbolizes not only independence, but it also was a signpost, a turning point. And more of those signposts and bars being lifted for Malaysia can only be good for society at large. And I would implore and invite all Malaysians to remember that we can live up to a culture of excellence, and Malaysia can be much, much more than what it is today.
Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to speak with us on not just the Merdeka Award, but of course, the development of the country itself, the culture of excellence. Those are the kind of items that we really need to embrace and, of course, live with it. If you guys want to learn more about the Merdeka Awards, I urge you to search for the Merdeka Awards at merdekaaward.my. There are plenty of resources that can be found there. Of course, you can also look at these resources that we have right now from ExxonMobil, from PETRONAS and Shell, and of course, some other resources that can perhaps try to help you deliver better solutions for your communities. I would also like to wish all Malaysians happy Merdeka Day, as well as happy Malaysia Day that is upcoming very soon. But for now, that's it for this particular episode. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time.